There is perhaps no biblical figure more enigmatic and layered than King Solomon. Known throughout history for his unparalleled wisdom, his reign was marked by peace, prosperity, and the construction of the majestic temple in Jerusalem, a house built not just for worship, but as a visible anchor for the divine presence on earth. Yet beneath this glorious legacy lies a story rarely spoken in the light of day, a tale of spirits, forbidden knowledge, and the fine line between divine wisdom and dangerous power. The legends say that Solomon was not only a king and a judge, but also a master of spirits. Ancient texts, such as the Testament of Solomon, long hidden from public eyes and relegated to the shadows of apocryphal literature, tell of a time when Solomon held dominion not just over Israel, but over entities from another realm, beings we now call demons. According to these arcane accounts, Solomon was given a magical ring by the Archangel Michael, a gift from God himself. This ring, bearing the seal of Solomon, gave him control over supernatural beings. With this divine authority, Solomon commanded these spirits to assist in building the temple, turning what would have been a physical labor of centuries into a project completed within a lifetime. The demons, bound to his will, were forced to lift stones, move metals, and shape sacred architecture under the king's gaze. But the power to command is not the same as the power to understand. And herein lies the seed of what would grow into Solomon's great undoing. For in commanding the spirits, he had to engage with them, and in engaging he began to listen. The demons did not serve him quietly. They spoke, whispered, hinted at things beyond mortal comprehension. They spoke of the stars, of secret energies that flowed beneath the earth, of the names of ancient beings who existed before time was measured. They told him of the true nature of humanity and the bloodlines that carry divine and non-divine essences. Solomon, who craved wisdom above all else, listened. He began to question the boundaries of divine command. He began to hunger, not just for wisdom, but for knowledge in its rawest, most dangerous form. Some say he began to write down what he learned, creating grimoires that would later be passed down through secret societies and occult circles. Others claim he became obsessed with a particular demon, a spirit not of brute strength, but of cunning intellect and silver-tongued persuasion. This demon, whose name has been scrubbed from most texts, did not resist Solomon's control. Instead, it feigned servitude, offering knowledge in exchange for small liberties. Over time, this entity became his confidant, his advisor, and perhaps even something more intimate. From that moment on, things began to change. The Solomon of the later years no longer resembled the virtuous judge of his youth. He amassed not only wealth and wives, but also a deep collection of forbidden artifacts, relics, scrolls, and idols from foreign lands, each with a story that bent toward the arcane. The temple, once a house of God, began to mirror his internal duality, an architectural wonder infused not just with divine inspiration, but laced with symbols whose origins did not trace back to any Hebrew tradition. Whispers began to circulate. Priests noticed changes in rituals. Certain chambers were off limits, and some claimed to hear strange chants emanating from them late at night. Solomon's advisors feared him, not for his wrath, but for his silence, for the way he would gaze into the fire as if it were speaking to him. Some claimed they saw him converse with shadows. Others said he no longer slept, wandering the palace halls, muttering names no one could understand. There is even a theory, long suppressed by mainstream theology, that the famed temple was not just a place of worship but a gate, a dimensional convergence point made possible through geometry, sound, and blood. The demons were not simply workers, they were anchors, forced to bind themselves to the structure in a cosmic contract. By doing so, Solomon ensured they could never truly escape. But contracts have two sides, and in creating a prison for demons, he may have inadvertently created a pathway between worlds, a channel he alone could access, or be accessed through. It is said that in the final days of his life, Solomon fell into despair. The voices grew louder. The entity that had once guided him now mocked him. His prayers went unanswered, or worse, answered by the wrong source. He withdrew from public life, retreating into chambers beneath the palace that no one dared enter. Some claim he tried to destroy the ring, realizing too late the cost of what he had done. Others believe he buried it, hoping no one would ever use it again. There are even those who believe he passed it on, knowingly or not, to a bloodline that still exists in secret, shaping the events of our world behind closed doors. What remains undeniable is this: after Solomon, Israel was never the same. The kingdom fractured, the temple was desecrated, rebuilt, and desecrated again. Prophets came and went, but none ever again held the power Solomon once wielded. It is almost as if the divine recoiled from the place, reluctant to touch what had been contaminated by something older and darker. Modern historians tend to dismiss these tales as allegory, symbols of the dangers of pride and idolatry. But even among scholars, there are whispers, fragments of old texts, half-burned parchments found in hidden libraries, symbols etched into stone deep beneath Jerusalem that suggest the legends may hold more truth than fiction. And if they are true, we are left with questions that echo through the ages. Did Solomon fall from grace, or was he sacrificed by the very forces he sought to control? Were the demons imprisoned by him, or was he the one ultimately imprisoned, trapped by a knowledge so vast and so alien that no human mind could contain it? Perhaps Solomon's story is not just about one man, but a warning about the cost of unrestrained wisdom, about the fine line between enlightenment and corruption, and about how, sometimes, even the brightest lights can cast the darkest shadows. There are some who believe the ring still exists, hidden away by those who understand its potential. They say it will return when the world is ready, or when it is vulnerable enough to fall again under the sway of powers that lie just beyond the veil. Until then, the tale of Solomon remains a puzzle lost in time, scattered among scriptures, myths, and symbols, waiting to be pieced together. Not for curiosity, not for glory, but for understanding, and maybe, just maybe, for protection from what he once unleashed.